Hello everybody, this is Ice and welcome back to another video. Now today, we are starting the 4th episode of my Minecraft Redstone calculator tutorial series. Now in the last video, or in the last several videos, we've worked on this screen and developed a nice looking screen. We've also come up here and made our first 7-7 display. Now a lot of this episode is going to be based on stacking these around and setting up the wiring for all this, and by the end of the episode we should have a formidable amount of redstone to talk about, so that should be cool. One thing I want to do first, though, is clear up a couple fixes. Last episode we were working on this, and I said that this might have some issues stacking. I was correct, it did have some issues stacking, and so we are just going to need to fix that. So as it is now, you should have something that looks a little bit like this with a repeater here. And we can't have this bit of wire here, it's going to mess things up. So in order to fix that, what you're going to do is you're going to move this down, or first of all get rid of this torch entirely. You're going to move this down here, and put a torch here. And that's the fix. I don't think there's anything else to say about that, except for the fact that you now need a repeater here. I think that's how I did it. Oh, actually, no, sorry. You don't need a repeater there, you want to put it here. So put a repeater here, you don't actually need this torch. And just stick a block over this. And now that is fixed, and that's all good. Okay, so unfortunately, before we go on to this, we need to make another fix to the screen. I guarantee you this is the last one, because after this we won't be working directly with the screen anymore. But basically, the problem is the following. In episode 2 rather, I said that we would add 16-bit numbers, which means the add-ins of our calculator will go up to 65,535. And the problem rises when you try to add this to itself. Right now, we have 5 pre-rated for pre-decimal point digits here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, in our output. When we try to add 65,535 plus 65,535, we get a number like 131,000, and that is not a 5-digit number. In short, we're going to need an extra digit in our thing. Now, this isn't too hard to do, it's much less annoying than trying to space these out by 3 blocks, but it is something that we will have to do, so that's what we should do. In order to fix this, what we want to do is move this out. Let's see how many blocks. 8 blocks, I believe. No, 9. 10, yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we can do the same stuff as we did last time, so you can stack this 41 up and make your vertical thing go up to the top and fill this in. You can go here, grab this block, and grab this block, it's almost like we've done this before, and set it to wool. Alright, cool. So now you can fill in this black line in a moment. What we need to do basically is we need to move this over by, we need to move this part over by 9 blocks. 9 blocks, that's right. So if we do that, we'll come over here and move it 9 over. I think you'll get a huge hole which you can fill in with World Edit quite simply. Now you want to grab this block and grab this block. You want to expand 3 out and just stack this over. Just like that. And now we indeed have this. I guess this got, one of these got, like that. Okay, now it's fixed. So, again, if you're interested, you can add in this part here. Repeaterless T flip-flop. Yeah. If you also want, you should move these arithmetic symbols over, because they look kind of stupid here, but you can do that on your own. So, sorry about that, once again. Alright, so I did move the arithmetic symbols over a little bit, that's fine. But now, we are ready to get on to the exciting part of this episode. This is one of my favorite parts of any redstone build, so let's do it. Basically, what we're doing is stacking this over. So, if we want this to be stacked fully, what you want to do is you want to come into this nook here in your bottom corner 7-segment display. So, for instance, in this case, I'm going to go into this nook and go down a little bit. It doesn't matter how far down you go, it will matter when we do the vertical stacking, but for now, we can just do this. Now, you want to come up here, make sure you get these redstone dusts in your stack because they're important. You come right next to this block and go up a little bit and set this as your second position. Alright, so now we are ready to test this out. We want to stack this thing over, oh, how many times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And after a slight lag spike, which I will be blamed for, these will start to materialize. We might need to fly through this a bit to update all the blocks. Alright, well that looks quite fancy. Let's see if it works. Indeed, look at the stacking. Look how well it works. So now, if we come over to our output panel, we should have all zeros. Beautiful. Okay, so the next step is to copy this thing. So now we want to do some copying and pasting. The vertical part of this is going to be important now. So what you want to do is you want to come to this nook here. So you're in front of this fourth torch. Just so you barely get all of these. Like that. Now you want to come over again to here. This will be a little bit harder this time. Make sure to get all the redstone wires in. So in particular you can stand up here, go over here, and pause 2. Now, what you can do is we can use a copy and paste world edit command, stand right here on the middle of this, and hit copy. And stand right here and hit paste. And you should get a nice display with, oh, plenty of room. Okay. So then there should be room for this one too. Go up here and once again hit paste on the top one. And let's see how much room we had there. Oh, plenty. Alright, so that's what that looks like. Now we just need to do the stacking twice more, so... In fact, we can get it all in one. To do that, you just want to come over here and get your first position. You can go up way to the other side and get your second position up here. And do the stacking. Now in this case we'll only need to stack 4 over since we have these inputs. Stack 4. If I'm correct. And lo and behold, that would be, once it loads up here, would be our 7-segment input panel. So here we go. This is the extent of the redstone we've done so far. I think it looks pretty cool myself. Before we dive into this stuff, though, we will need to fix 2 pistons. Exactly 2 pistons. Why, I'm not sure, but we'll do it. Just come down here and add these pistons back in. Alright, so now we are ready. The only thing is that for some reason we do not have blocks here because they weren't stacked over. Okay, so you'll have to put blocks on all these pistons, but you can do that. Alright, so testing is a good thing. We did miss one part on these displays. You're going to have to put a repeater in each of these spots. I'm not going to do this for all of them, but it's pretty easy to see how to continue it. I'm sorry that I didn't catch this, but I have tried all the other numbers on the display, and they do work, so it's fine. I'll just do this all on camera because it's really quick. It's just these repeaters here next to the 2. As follows. And up and on the upper level in a similar fashion. Quite simple, and I am very sorry about that. But now, when we go ahead and try this out, it does indeed appear to work, so yeah, there we go. Alright, so over this episode and into the next one, we have a bunch of time left, so I think we'll be able to start this. What we'll be working on is something called the input shifters. Now, this is not a technical term, I made it up, but it's what it should be called. Now, this is the next part of the calculator that will go onto the inputs, and after we do that, we'll actually be able to start connecting this user input we made in episode 1 up to this part. Alright, so that's that. I should explain exactly what an input shifter is, though. So suppose we're trying to input the number 123 into our calculator. What would we do first? Well, we'd probably want to type the numbers in order, so in this case we'd do 1, I think that's how we did it, 1, then we press the 2 button, then we press the 3 button, so that's that. So when we press the 1 button, what would we want to happen? Well, we'd want the 1 to appear in this rightmost digit right here, right? 3 meanings are right in one sentence. So now we have 0, 0, 0, 0, 1. Alright, so that's pretty simple. Next step would be to press the 2. So now what would we want to happen? Well, we'd want the 1, which is now in the rightmost digit, to be shifted over to the left one place. So now we'd want a 1 here and a 2 here. So that's the shifting job of this input shifter. Now the next step would be to press the 3 button. You would press the 3 button and you'd expect the 1 to be shifted over to here, the 2 to be shifted over to here, and the 3 to go into the rightmost place, like that. And that's all an input shifter is. It's pretty simple, pretty easy to use, and not too hard to make either, so let's get started. Alright, so in this case we'll have 2 input shifter devices to build. We'll have to build one on this input, input A, and this input, input B. Now they're exactly the same, exactly analogous, so we should be able to just stack it over, but if not, then we can copy and paste it. So there's that. Now the way we're going to do these input shifters is based on, well, pretty simple concept, which is the repeater lock memory system. Basically what will happen is that we'll have a data loop that goes down through the side, and when you activate the input shifters, a button will be pressed and it will go along. It's hard to explain, and so in order to explain it, I think I should just actually start building it. So the first thing we want to do is come down here and go like this. So in this case, we'd come up like this, so that these inputs are now vertical. Now the key here is that your one input is on the bottom. This doesn't technically matter which input's on the bottom and which is on the top, but it's good for organization if we keep our least significant bit, aka our 1 bit, on the bottom. So there is that, and you want to extend this out by exactly 1 block. Alright, so next up, we can just put redstone on this. Nothing too complicated there. Now we may need repeaters in new places now, but we can do that in a moment. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that is the beginning of our input shifter. Pretty simple. Alright, so where you're adding repeaters is right here. You do have to change the wiring system around a little bit just to have repeaters in there. This is just convenient for when we stack. So we have this line that goes up like this, this line that comes around over it, this line goes the other way, and this one remains unchanged. So now we do want to stack this over, and I don't think that will cause any problems if we stack it from here, as long as we don't get too far. So we'll stack right from, for instance, taking this as our position 1. Oops, making sure we get everything, right? Take this as our position 1, and this as our position 2. Then you can go ahead and stack this over 4 times. And what you should end up with is incorrect stacking. Good. What did I do wrong? If we contract this by 1, then there, now it works. I think, yep, that works. So you should have something that looks like this now, and you will have to replace these torches, as far as I'm aware. And for now, we'll just build this upper input shifter, and the bottom one is identical, so we'll be able to copy and paste it over. The next thing we have is a bunch of repeater locks, so that's what we want to start doing here. We're going to have 4 of these for each one. So what you'll end up having is something that looks a little like this. Now, the actual locks on the repeaters will come in good time, but for now, you should just have something that looks like this. Now you can pretty much stack this over a bunch of times without worrying. I think you stack it to here in this case. Stack it 4 times over, and hey, look at that, it's incorrect. Again, you want to contract 1 and stack it 4 times over, and now it works. Alright, so you will have to add the blocks in later, but that's fine. Now, the last step is to connect these all, so again, pretty simple. These just connect together like this, and you should have these lines that go around. And this time I'm not even going to bother trying to stack it, I'll just copy and paste. So this is just redstone, no need to stack it, it's pretty simple. And 1, 2, 3, 4, like this. So you might be beginning to see exactly how this is going to come together. So you'll grab 1 block here and 1 block here, copy and paste it from this repeater, copy, and just paste it over as many times as you need to. This should work out fine. This is a very safe way of doing it with World Edit, so I don't mess up anymore. And eventually you should get to a point where it looks something like this. And that is the beginning of your input shifter. Well, I think that's about what we should do for today. I don't think there's much else we can do with these input shifters. We've certainly added a lot onto this calculator. There was a lot of maintenance this episode, but hopefully that can be not happening next episode. And yeah, next time, hopefully we'll be finishing up these input shifters, and, well, it will look cool. Eventually what we'll have is a timing system that will actually allow us to take in inputs and shift them on over. Hopefully you're starting to see how these input shifters will work. It should make much more sense after they're all done. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this episode, and as always, bye now. And don't forget to like and leave your feedback if you're interested.